From your perspective, what does Congress want to see from the president on Libya? What milestones or goalposts would you have in this resolution?
You know, I think, Andrea, the first thing is just some answers to questions. I wrote a letter to the administration, both Secretary Clinton and Secretary Gates, 80 days ago, and just asked 5 questions that I think any person in America would want a senator to have the answer to. And I got just a couple of days ago an answer back that was by an assistant secretary, which was a partial answer to one of those. So I think what you see in the Webb-Corker resolution is just asking the president numbers of questions. I think you know that the administration, and by the way, I think you also know I've worked with the administration on numbers of national security issues, but they sought the UN for approval, but they've never, ever formally consulted Congress. We've moved beyond the 60 days that the War Powers Act allows us to do the kind of things we're doing in Libya, and I think we'd like to have the answers to 20 or 21 questions before we could actually formally even debate the issue. And again, I don't understand it, because typically there's a reservoir of goodwill around our country being engaged in military conflict, but they have stonewalled and not been willing to, if you will, come forth, answer questions, and let us have the proper debate.
I got to tell you, Senator, you have worked with them on a lot of foreign policy issues, to say nothing of your involvement in trying to work out budget deals. And the fact that you don't get a response from either Gates or Clinton personally, a phone call right away when you write a letter like that, is a little bit surprising.
It has been, and again, Andrea, I've said nothing negative publicly about our involvements in Libya. I have talked often with Hoss Cartwright and others. I am worried about us escalating there. I don't know what our national interest is there. I don't know what the imminent threat to our country was there to invoke these types of activities, and all of those things concern me, and obviously I do not want us to escalate. I think we've all seen how difficult it is. It's easy to get into a conflict, but we know how hard it is to get out of a conflict once we're engaged. And there's all kinds of questions, Andrea. I mean, are we going to be involved in rebuilding the country? What are we going to be doing about democracy building? I mean, there's lots of issues that you know well, being around as long as you've been around, end up being very complex and complicated, not to speak of very, very, very costly.
Do you think that Congress, that the Senate, is going to try to move to cut off funds?
I don't think that's going to happen. I think the first is just going to be debated. It's interesting, Andrea, this conflict may well be over before Congress even debates the issue. I do think Gaddafi's weakening. I think that's a good thing. Again, though, we don't really know much about the opposition group that we're supporting. It's interesting. We have diplomatic relations with the Gaddafi government. I think everyone knows that. We have diplomatic relations with this government that we're doing what we can to help take out. We haven't even recognized this transitional national government that we're supporting. So the whole thing, again, I think there's a reservoir of goodwill that, from my standpoint, has been significantly drained around this issue. And again, I don't get it. I don't understand it. Typically on these issues, there's a lot more give and take, a lot more involvement by all, especially those who might sit on the Foreign Relations Committee, as I do.
To be continued. Senator Bob Corker, thank you so much for joining us today.